You're listening to the new media. You're listening to Mitchell Talks. Learn more at Mitchelltalks.com and follow me, Scott Mitchell, on Twitter at Mitchell Talks. Brian Gililland and Kelly Lawson. The Okie Show is about to relaunch.
We're relaunching!
Yeah, it's exciting.
About time.
I know. Well, it's gone by fast, but
I know.
Probably not for our listeners. I know you guys have desperately missed us for the past 3 months.
Just waiting with bated breath.
Yes.
Like, oh, this show.
We need to learn more.
Yeah.
We must learn more about film and music and art.
and crappy improv by these two
terrible
weirdos.
improv. They stumble through.
So you're relaunching with Notorious People.
We are. So we're going to be, we're having the big relaunch party. It's kind of it's a relaunch party celebration of the relaunch of the show, but we're also kind of, it's going to be a fundraiser for this upcoming year of programming. So if you come out and it's just like a suggested donation of like $10, and that money is going to be going to, first of all, to help us cover our overhead, because we have like an office space and we have equipment that we have to do upkeep for and software and all that kind of stuff. But it's also going to help us be able to travel more.
Yes.
So that we can talk to crazy people.
Go a little further. We love Oklahoma, and we want to be able to visit other places and get other Okies and past beyond the borders of Oklahoma.
Beyond the borders. Yeah, we have some things that are probably going to happen down in Texas, some possible things happening in Georgia. So the cool thing about this relaunch is that it's no longer, so for the longest time we've been the podcast that dives into the finer details of navigating Oklahoma's film and music industry. But now we're the podcast that dives into the inner workings of the heartland's music and film industry. So we're integrating the whole darn Midwest now. Right.
And we're also doing a few cool things on YouTube now. We had previously not recorded our shows live, which we're now able to do, which is amazing. And we're also
weird.
It is weird. It's strange. It feels professional. And we're also doing YouTube sketches, and we're very, very open to people submitting sketches that they want filmed, because we want to help budding filmmakers get their stuff out there. I mean, that's kind of what we try to do, is teach people how, hey, if you want to get started, here's some good tips. Here's some people we talk to that are doing it really well. So we want to be able to try to provide that as well.
So the relaunch fundraiser is going to be going to all that, and I'm super. So we just finished shooting our first 2 original comedy sketches just a couple days ago, and it's the first of several, and they're pretty funny. One's called the Sean Connery School of Accents,
which is just great, because
I feel like
even
that's all you have to say.
That's all you need to know about it, because I mean,
yeah,
I'd like a cup of tea. No,
I would like a spot of tea.
Spot of tea.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really long-winded answer to that question.
I was waiting for more Sean Connery.
Yes. Tune into the Okie Show. The guy that we had playing Sean Connery in that sketch, he sent me a picture of himself hiding behind the slate, and it just has this caption that says, "Shoon."
Shoon.
So
Sean Connery's
ready
still
for that.
alive.
Yes. He's still alive and kicking, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he drank from the Holy Grail, so he's never going to die.
Hopefully he sees this and either gets really angry and comes to us, and then we can get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Or he loves it, and then he comes to us and we can get him on the podcast. That would be the dream.
That is the dream goal.
Right? That's
the
dream goal.
We want that video. We want that sketch to go viral.
We want to mock someone into being
submission
on our show.
Yeah. And also, maybe, you never know, we might relaunch his career.
True.
In the second chapter of Sean Connery.
The second chapter.
Who does the best impressions that you've worked with?
Oh,
dude.
Man, there's quite a few improvisers that can do really amazing impressions. I mean, Brian can do really good impressions just in general.
I just get bored.
I'm thinking of like guests that we've had. I mean, John can do really. We had a few people from OKCI come do things, and John has some pretty funny. He does Captain America very well.
It's because he is Captain America. If you put me and this guy, John Gearhart, next to each other, I look like the who's the guy who plays Captain?
You look like
I'm pre-serum Captain America.
Yeah.
He's post-serum Captain America.
Yeah.
One of these days we're going to do that Halloween duet.
You should.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of talented people though that, man, I'm trying to think of the best impressions.
Who does the Phantasm best?
What? I don't know what you're speaking of.
Oh, when did you get here? No.
I've been here the entire time. I've been hiding in the rafters.
Makes sense.
Don't mind me. I like to spy in the shadows. We're planning on bringing the old Phantasm back for some future sketches. We just got to find the right script.
Yeah.
If you want to see Phantasm, for people who don't, because we talk about it all the time. We'll be at dinner with people and going to and shows. Try not to do a Phantasm impression because it's so bad. But where can people find the Phantasm, which was first time we saw it was was a 48-hour movie.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in the 48 Best of OKC winner. I think it was 2015.
I think it was
2015. Yeah. And that was a little short film called The Broad Squad. And at this relaunch, we're actually going to be showing that film again. So for those of you who have not gotten to see The Broad Squad, which doesn't just star the Phantasm, but a lot of other really funny characters, we're going to be showing that one. And we're also going to be showing our winning short film from this year's 48-hour film race, The Office Case.
Which, sadly, the Phantasm doesn't make an appearance. But he does make an appearance in one of our other sketches, A Stiff Proposal.
That's
barely.
True. Barely.
He submitted to online dating. So
yeah.
We see a blip of what P-tasm's online dating profile would look like.
Yeah. So, yet another reason why you should check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Okie Show whenever we go public on the 5th of October.
Yeah, or come out to the venue and check it out in real life in person. Brian, would you be willing to become the Phantasm for that night?
I shall become the Phantasm for one evening.
People can meet you and you can
as the Phantasm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll just totally be in character the entire time.
How did you come up with that character?
Man, that character is so he's an old character. He's been around for a really long time. He came about whenever me and several friends were doing an improvised sketch for ourselves. And it was originally like this Halloween thing. We were doing spoofs of Halloween. And he was the Phantasm was this evil maniacal wizard who had this book of enchantments and whatnot. He was like a con kid, like an anime con kid who just like lived in the basement a little too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
he appears.
And then whenever Kelly and I were doing improv together with Take One, Phantasm would come out like all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We do, I mean, in improv, you do exercises. Like you don't practice improv because it's made up, right? You can't practice it, but you do exercises to kind of keep your mind sharp and moving. And one of them is to do as many solid characters as you can create out of just the blue within a minute. And when people get, oh yeah, I get what that character is, then you move on to the next one. And so you try to get really quick at accents and, different postures and creating random fun characters. And the ones that are great stick. And those are the ones that we want to
That's one of my favorite games. I don't know I can't remember the actual name of the game, but it's basically you have a bell and you do an impression, bang, do a different impression, bang, and you try to get as many as you can within 1 minute.
How did you get to be Kelly Lawson?
Well, my mother and father back in Bryan, Texas.
Yes. It was a dark and stormy night.
I've always loved the theater. In high school, that was kind of, I was one of those kids that was very set on being an actor. I was going to be an actor. And I went to college for with a theater degree. And while I was taking some classes, we did some improvised exercises. It wasn't even really improv for comedy's sake. It was
Tell us how you do that.
Well, a lot of times you just want to organically create a character. So start a scene and immediately identify who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. And then from there, you're going to add layers to your character. Okay, if I'm in the bathroom with someone right now, why would I be in the bathroom? How am I related to this person? Am I mad at this person? Am I happy with this person? So you start adding layers, and that helps when you're doing a scripted show to find the layers of that character in the play that you're doing. And I had a professor that was like, "Hey, you should look into that more. That came easily to you." And I was like, "Okay." And then I auditioned for a sketch comedy troupe, Magic Pants, back at Oklahoma State University.
Classic Magic Pants.
That's the best part about improv. I'm just going to say that right now. The names are the worst. They're the best and the worst. It's just finding a name for your troupe. I'm currently in a troupe called Heel Turn, and it is 100% based on pro wrestling. So, not the show, just the name.
Some of the best acting in the world, frankly.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's improv.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's improv. that's one of the reasons I'm a little obsessed with it. I'm not gonna lie.
I would love to see political leaders do mic work.
Oh yeah,
like with Gordon Soley, there's a name from the pastors, JR. Now we're going to bring in the minority leader.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal, JR.
Yeah.
When I get the Republicans
exactly.
in the room,
You all
to all
vote for this bill.
my constituents, brother.
Yeah, exactly. There's like feuds going on that they like show us. Oh, that's so good.
I'm going to find you, and I'm going to...
What's it called? Not gerrymandering. Darn it!
I'm gonna filibuster.
I'm going to filibuster you, brother.
No, it's incredible.
That is a really good Macho Man Randy Savage.
Thank you.
That is
Been working on it.
That's good. So anyway, I just kind of really enjoyed the sketch comedy group, and then I auditioned for an improv group here in the city once my husband and I moved here, and I got in, and it was awesome. I was with Take One Productions, which I currently, I'm still technically with them. I just have babies, so my schedule is very hard to negotiate. But I pop in every now and then, give them a run for their money. Just like, oh yeah, here's Crazy Kelly doing some crazy stuff on stage.
I actually still remember your audition because I was there whenever you auditioned.
Yeah.
And you did this Marilyn Monroe impression that, like, to this day still makes me crack up.
Yeah.
That's
what I was to say. That's what I. Oh my! Don't go over there. There's a bear in the woods. You don't have to.
Bear?
Doesn't matter.
Stand aside.
Oh dear. Just
my eyes! He's eating my eyes!
Look good. You look so good.
Improv.
Yeah. And then and OKC Improv's been blowing up, and I Take One performed there. I started taking a few classes. I've tried to hone my skills, and I got asked to be in a heel turn as well. And so that's a 4-person montage group. And montage where we just do scenes based off suggestions, not necessarily short form games. But I've loved it. I've loved every minute. Yeah.
You see, Kelly here she is far more advanced than I've ever been, because I've been short form from very beginning and like never really stepped outside of that.
Short form is
whenever you're just doing the basic, those Whose Lines It Anyway games. And then long form is whenever you're doing they can last from 10 minutes to like almost an hour long. Where you're building characters.
You can do
with
one
arcs.
scene for an hour. You can do the Herald is a format where you have different scenes that you move to. You can do an Armando where you have an introduction that's basically a monologue of someone. Usually a stand-up comic will come do a monologue, and then you do your scene based off that. There's a ton of long form formats, and that, but short form is usually very, very generally like games, quick move, quick scenes. You don't want your scenes to drag out. You just want to hit that punch, that one little laugh button, and then move to the next scene.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's really good for crowd work and that kind of thing, because you can get, you're through all of these games, like you're getting suggestions from the audience and everything. And I think I'm terrified of long form because short form, it's like popcorn. Like you can please the audience,
and then if it's bad, move on.
Yeah.
No, if you're in a long form scene, you got to dig yourself out of that hole that you just put. You go climb out.
And that's my appeal with improvs. One, I don't have to memorize lines.
Yeah,
because I'm horrible with memorizing lines.
It's great,
but you have the safety net of everybody else and being able to move from one thing to the next.
Exactly. Yeah. Improv's very, player based in the sense that you're not alone on stage. The person next to you is trying their best to make you look good, and you're trying your best to make them look good. So it's never really on the individual, and it's not really about being funny. It's more just about organically making the scene, and we're funny as humans. Scenarios can be hilarious, and they're not even that, strange or abnormal. So
it's really cool because, the principles of improv, of like saying yes and, is one of the first rules of improv. You never deny somebody. So if you're in a scene and you're like, Kelly, I can't believe your hair is on fire, and she was to say,
no, it's not,
then the scene goes nowhere.
Right.
But when you're able to do yes and, your hair's on fire.
Oh my gosh, no, it's faux fire. So I went to the salon and they spray your head down with that stuff so it doesn't burn your scalp. So I guess it's real fire on my head, but it's not technically burning me.
Now that when you put it that way, it actually it looks really cool.
It looks great, right?
Let me try it.
It'll only last for about 10 minutes.
Okay, let me try it.
You look fabulous.
Thanks.
It's like a 1984 Pepsi commercial.
Right. But yeah, I love the principles of improv, like yes and it's one of the most selfless forms of entertainment.
Yeah, supporting your scene partner is huge.
Yeah,
So it's teamwork.
It is
totally
absolutely
teamwork.
And it's
Polar opposites of stand-up comedy.
It's meant to be fun, you know. I mean, the whole when someone's on stage, they're having a great time. The audience is going to have a great time because it's very relatable. The audience, little things you do can relate to that one random person in the audience, and they'll get a chuckle out of it. So it kind of is. It's nice. It's not very directed comedy, not meant for any age group or.
It's chaotic and it's fun. And I think that's why I like it more than doing like actual theater stuff. I've done community theater, and that is freaking terrible. I did a Shakespeare play one time and forgot my lines. Mm-hmm. Do you know what it's like to forget your Shakespearean lines?
If
you can't improvise your way out of that one.
You can. It's called Improvised Shakespeare. It's the best place you could possibly go see in Chicago. They're incredible.
That's
the highest level of
that's like the Stephen Hawking's of improvisers doing that stuff.
Improvised Shakespeare.
Yeah.
In iambic pentameter.
I doth forgotteth mine lines.
I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
I'm not there
Just
yet.
start quoting King James Bible scripture. Yeah.
If you are a person who's learning, if you follow the Okie show, and now the relaunch, and so then more people are going to be learning about it than you had before, right? And the idea is to expand the empire. So if a person who is trying to learn more about live performance, and we've got so many cool new venues in this town.
Oh, yeah.
We were at Tower the other night, so you sleep at the wheel. Just it's unbelievable showplace. But if you're somebody who goes, I'd like to know about that, sometimes it's a little daunting to first place you go and how to find out information about improv. So what does a person do, like me, just to start discovering who these people are, where they perform, all of those things?
Well, there's quite a lot of improv going on in Oklahoma that you can Google. OKC Improv is here in the city. If you just look them up, they're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. OKC Improv. They offer classes, and the classes you can take starting at level 1 are just going to be really basic introduction to short form improv, and it's meant for everyone, not people who want to become amazing people on SNL. It can be people who want to learn how to communicate better in a work situation or just get out of your shell a little bit, kind of be more comfortable thinking quickly and on the spot. So if
you're married and you haven't won an argument in years,
this will help.
Perfect.
It'll help you argue.
Yeah.
It'll help your logic. It'll help.
Husbands, heed my words.
So yeah, you can go to their website, or if that's even too much, just come check out a show. They perform at the Paramount Theater, and they do runs where you can come see what you're getting yourself into, and you can go see student shows performing. This is their first time ever performing, and they're great. They also do free jams where you can just come after a show and get up with everyone and maybe do a little improvised singing, improvised rap, just play a quick game of Whose Line Is Anyway, or a quick game of, just questions game where you just ask questions. That's all you're supposed to do. It's really simple stuff. There's also Red Dirt Improv. And actually there's Improv Festival Oklahoma that's coming up. September 28th, I believe, is when it starts. And
is it really that soon?
Yeah, it's that soon. Where we'll have groups from Dallas and Kansas, and I think we're having, is it Three-Peat? I think that's I can't remember the headliner, but we've got big people coming out to perform, so you can just get a taste of it there. And then there's actually even improv at the Actor Factory in Norman. You can take some specifically for acting at the Actor Factory, which is where I took classes to begin with under some people there, and it was incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
Just dip your toes in. I mean, if you hate it, you don't have to do it, but it's really worth it just to go out, and it's not like stand-up where you're alone on a stage. You want to try it for the first time and it might go terribly. Everyone is super welcoming. So you get out there and you say something, most likely it's going to be funny. And even if it's not, there's no losing in improv. You can't do anything wrong.
Yeah. I think that's the most fun. The good thing that people that get into improv is you kind of get over yourself. Like it's hard to have an ego whenever you work
be
in
embarrassed
improv.
of yourself. Because you embarrass yourself so deeply.
Yeah, and it's in front of everyone.
And you learn that it's okay.
Yeah. Well, you also learn that just people don't care. Like people don't. They just don't care.
Right.
Like if you, it's just like stand up. If you do a setup with the punchline that's weak and you just move on to the next thing, people don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people are not nearly as interested in you as you are with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And working in a group and taking classes will really help build your confidence in it.
Yeah.
Not that we have a self-absorbed society or anything.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm offended by that.
Oh, me too. I hate myself already.
Man, I feel like a victim, and it's your fault.
When you do improv and you switch over to film, how are you able to find that sort of magic that you can spontaneously working with people? So there's an absolute chemistry there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do take after take, right? In
Right.
film, it's a different. How can you be funny on film? How much more difficult is it?
So there are two ways to do that. The first way is to, before you actually start rolling cameras, is to rehearse with the cast and just let them improvise, the scene throughout. At some point when you do that, you do have to lock it up because of continuity and everything. And when you're switching angles, like things have to make sense.
And sometimes it does fall on the script too. Like the writing is just that good that it will be funny, and you have to put your faith. And it's about how you might say the line, but the writing is there. It already gives you a step up because it's funny. And some writers don't want you to change the lines, but you can tinker. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. But what actually, a lot of for our specific group, we have a writer's room of extremely talented people. It's all the people that worked on our short films, Broad Squad and The Office Case. And a lot of that improv actually happens in the writer's room. So we'll improvise stuff, before cameras are even around. And then you have that moment before you roll cameras on set that you can let your actors take that dialogue that's been written out and flesh it out and make it. The nice thing about when you do that is that the actors are able to make that dialogue their own and put it into their own voice, which sometimes for writers, it's hard to do that. Everybody has their own voice. And by that, I mean like their own way of speaking and their own inflections and stuff. And sometimes it's hard for a writer to be able to replicate that on the page. So a lot of that happens on the day. Mm-hmm. The third way that you can add improv into whenever you're shooting a narrative film with all these different angles and everything is whenever you get on somebody's single, which is just their it's just them.
Their point of view.
You just let them riff and you just let them run lines. They do this on Scrubs a lot. Whenever they get to somebody's single like that, like you see it with the janitor on Scrubs. If you watch behind the scenes stuff, he is just improvising improvising everything. And like most of the time, most of the takes on the janitor in Scrubs, they would use his improvised lines.
Same with Parks and Rec. Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec. Same thing where they just put the camera on his face and he'd just say whatever line it was. He'd say the right line and then he'd just go and things. And that usually they'd take his improvised line.
Yeah.
I think one important thing to do if you're on set in your warm-ups, most actors do warm-ups and same with improvisers, you warm up. And I would recommend if you're really wanting to get that improvised feel or allow your kind of the comfort of knowing your scene partner a little better, do some warm-ups where you try to get on the same page with what your thought patterns. So we play this a lot, Brian and I, before we start a podcast. So weird to do, but we do either just a word association, which is very simple. You say whatever word comes to your head, and then the person listens to that and says exactly what comes to their head based on the word you just said. So you're paying attention to that word and responding immediately.
Yeah.
And then another great one is mind meld. So we move from word association to mind meld, and that's where you have two words said at the same time, totally random words like
apple
and train.
Yeah.
Apple and train.
Imagine we said that at the exact same time.
At the same time. And then what you try to do is work your way to the most common denominator where you both end up saying the exact same word, where you associate from apple, or what was it?
Yeah, so I said apple, you said train.
And then
3, 2, 1, railroad. Oh, hey, wow.
Well, that was easy. We made that look good, and that wasn't even planned. But you're trying to get to that most common denominator point, and then you're kind of on the same wavelength. You feel like, oh, we're thinking, when we think something, it's pretty close to the same outcome.
Yeah.
And that helps when you're saying a line, you know that they're on the same page with you, because you don't want to throw an improvised line in and they're not on the same page at all. Yeah. That can go poorly on a film.
Right. But yeah, I mean, like you'll see a lot of improv in Parks and Rec is a great example because like
great. The Office is great.
Yeah.
A lot of those, like
the
Steve
mockumentary
Carell
stuff
is from Second City, and
bastard.
I know,
makes me sick.
But it is different. You don't want to change the lines that the writers have written too much, because they wrote it that way because they liked it that way, and it's funny. And you got to respect the writing, but you can riff a little bit.
I'd never heard mind meld explained. I can see that in public policy issues. That would be so great.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Like you have two legislators that disagree on a point.
Yeah,
we're just gonna get to that most. Yeah.
First motion, the senator from Vermont is going to meet with the senator from Connecticut. Mind meld. And 3, 2, 1, ding.
Bullshit. No.
Oh, God. Life.
Let's work toward the center.
Yeah.
So when you expand and you roll Okie Short out, you're going to be covering, Kelly, you'd mentioned more.
Yes.
The second go around, or in the new version.
Yes.
What are you expanding to?
Oh man. As I guess we're trying to. Well, like I said, we were really wanting to encourage young filmmakers to submit things and to get their work displayed. And it's kind of hard to do that on your own. So what we're hoping to do with some of this fundraising, I think, is create kind of like a pot of money that we're wanting to be able to offer to young filmmakers and say, hey, this is good. We want to get that up and we want to get it out. So it's I guess that's kind of the direction that we're looking towards.
That's the ultimate
young
goal.
filmmakers. Education is really where we're pushing, because people, like you said, if you don't know these things, you got to start somewhere, and we want to tell people where to go and who to talk to.
And that's one thing that I've kind of noticed, because I work on every set around here, like from the bigger movies that are like I Can Only Imagine that's going to be in theaters with Dennis Quaid, to like the movie that you've never heard of and will never see. Like I being one of the 5 full-time sound guys, I get like on every range of movie around here. And what I've noticed with a lot of the smaller sets is that you'll see young people or students learning underneath people that may or may not really know what they're talking about. And, part of that's out of just because, that person who's teaching that student has been, he's there and he's thrown into that position. But I feel like there is no greater way to set up somebody for failure by teaching them incorrectly how to do a particular job that can lead into an actual job, into a career. And so that's one thing that we're trying to provide to students is we're doing these sketches, and they're silly and they're dumb and they're fun, but we have real professionals that I work with on all these larger sets. They're coming out and they're helping us out. And, Jacob Burns from Electric Nostalgia helps out a lot. Alex Bohannon from Planet Thunder, she's like one of our first ADs and one of our producers, and she's been a producer on several different things. And the idea is to create a platform for students to be able to learn how to do these different trades correctly, so that they can apply that to their own stuff. In addition to the ultimate goal with all this fundraising and everything is like, we want to be able to cover, all of our stuff so we can be able to travel and get interviews with all these different people to help inform people of stuff that they otherwise wouldn't be able to hear about. And we want to provide these educational opportunities. But then, like Kelly said, like ultimately we would love to be able to at least be some kind of a Kickstarter for other people's projects and get their stuff off the ground.
Once they've heard us and they're like, hey, that's a person that I want to go talk to, right? Yeah. I want to make an EP. Mm-hmm. And we've interviewed people on how to do that, right? So they have the information on how to start, but we'd love to like help them get to that point as well. Yeah.
That's very true. It's not just for filmmakers, it's also for musicians, because we focus on musicians too.
Editing. And I mean, we've tried to cover a lot of topics, but I think we want to go a little more into detail on those topics now that we've covered the basics on, like, we just did one over, we had someone design a
freaking dragon.
So he made just a digitalized, like crazy awesome visual effects dragon. We like interviewed him on a very basic level on how, like, what equipment do you use? Where do you start? But we'd love to get into more detail and talk to other people and get more information on that. If there's someone listening who's like, okay, I've got this program, now what?
Dude, and it's crazy because some of these interviews, like the interview with Matt Gardocki, what she's talking about, he's the one who designed our crazy dragon for the 48-hour film that you can see at the relaunch show on October 5th.
Yes, we can.
At 7 p.m. Like I ended up learning so much things from these interviews. Yes. Like I've recently started doing more voice acting and stuff, and I literally wasn't able to get started doing that until I went back and listened to our second episode. I listened to my own damn podcast to get the information to get started in doing voice acting. And so they, like, every once in a while, not every once in a while, all the time, we get these just crazy gems of knowledge that are great for launching real tangible careers.
Yeah. So beyond just it being fun and we do improv and it's goofy, it's we really want to push the educational aspect of it and get the word out that there are amazingly talented people working professionally here doing this. If you don't know, listen, and it's true. And then once we've given them the platform to talk about what they're doing, we want the listeners to be like, oh, wow, that's fascinating. I want to look more into that.
And we want people to spread the word about the podcast because, like, I have had so many conversations, even with people that I'm related to in this state. Like, you know, I'll go to Thanksgiving dinner and they'll be like, so how's your video stuff doing?
Yeah. What's your deal?
Well, I don't really work on videos.
Yeah.
But like you were working in some kind of like a porno or something. No, nope. Don't do that. Working in the movie stuff. We want to learn more about that.
I do sound.
Yeah.
You said early on that you're thinking about going to Georgia.
Yes.
So we finished a movie the other night. I think Hidden Figures was done in Georgia.
Everything's done in Georgia.
So everything's done in Georgia. For folks that might be in a position to have some impact on public policy in Oklahoma, I'm not sure that this industry that we're talking about today is translating to policy leaders in the state.
Right.
That there are real jobs, that there are real careers.
Exactly.
Help us for folks that might listen to this because of this venue, this Mitchelltalks venue, that might listen to it because they are not as, they don't know where Okie show is. They will. And
we're right around the corner.
There's like 15 people listening to this one. So and a couple of them are halls. So what is the industry all about? And why is Georgia such a beacon in terms of where this is all headed economically?
So amongst my people, we like to call Atlanta, Georgia, the land of milk and honey because it has become a hub of constant work, so much so that they're like there's more work than there are workers.
So they bring people out from out of state.
Yeah, they got to bring people in. So I know several people from Oklahoma that commute out to Atlanta to work on these different movies. And Atlanta is where they shoot all the Avengers movies that they shoot. They have a Pinewood Studios out there. Every Marvel movie is shot out in Atlanta, not in LA, in Atlanta. And what that translates into is tax dollars, is is money that pumps into the local economy there. Every single production that comes through, first of all, provides hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs that otherwise people would have to move out of state to do. So if there is a legislator from Oklahoma listening to this right now, just know that, the film industry here keeps those workers here in the state, and every individual person that lives here is paying that income tax and all those taxes and everything.
And not to mention, when we do bring actors from out of state, they have to have somewhere to stay. They have to have food to eat. They have to have Uber transportation or whatever. It also is spreading out, not just within the job, industry. Like Brian gets a job as a sound guy he lives here, and we know Brian, so we hired Brian. No, it's like there's tons of it trickles out into.
Oh yeah, hotel. I mean, like the city of Guthrie gets a nice jump start every single time a movie comes through there because they fill out their entire hotel, like all their hotel rooms with actors and crew members and all this kind of stuff. And with that, there's catering that comes through. We hire local caterers.
Yeah,
there's
try
restaurants.
To keep things very local. I mean, they have to. They're not going to cater stuff from LA for someone that's flying in from LA or wherever they're coming from. They're going to use what we have here, and we've got a lot of great stuff here. And there's there is a small tax incentive. That's like why Oklahoma's kind of like doing okay because people who come film their movie here, Tava from the
Film and Music Office.
Film and Music Office really gave us some good, so I don't want to misspeak, but so listen to that episode because Tava's on telling us all about this stuff.
Yep.
We interviewed her. And there's a tax break for people who want to come film here, but ours has a cap. Right. So Georgia and I think Louisiana, I don't think they have caps. So, or I think it's crazy high.
I think what happened with Louisiana is they actually capped theirs. When they capped theirs, Disney, which did all their work and
failed.
They were like, well, okay, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it is, I mean, we do have a cap. It does allow for some bigger pictures to come in, but only a few.
Right.
So if, if that were to change, I think we'd see a lot more of an influx of people coming to film here because Oklahoma has so many different, geographical
we have every
like every terrain
possible here.
Exactly. So it really does provide a lot for people wanting to film here.
And it also translates into the music industry. There's a major tax break. I think it's like a 10% tax break for those productions that hire local musicians.
For
And
their scores and
yeah.
for their, yeah, exactly.
So a perfect example of that is Rudderless. Rudderless, whenever it came through with William H. Macy directing, and we had, he was in the most recent Alien movie. That was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Bill something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one guy.
You know.
So that movie, they recorded, I hope I'm not incorrectly speaking, but I'm almost 90% sure that they recorded all their music here in the recording studios in Oklahoma. And I mean, like, again, that's work for our local industry workers and musicians, especially. Musicians make nothing. Like, people think that musicians make a lot of money on album sales. I've been a musician for 10 years. I think we've made $500 total on album sales.
Right back into the tour.
Yep. And then like all that percentage stuff goes to iTunes and SoundCloud and like all this other stuff. But not SoundCloud, but Bandcamp and all that.
But knowing that a film could come through and they could be hired, it keeps them here. Like they wouldn't want to go out and you know, move somewhere else and try to make music elsewhere if they're getting jobs here. So it's just, I think it really does spread out and benefit a large group of people, not just.
So you would imagine that Georgia doesn't want us to raise our.
They probably
I would suspect not. That or
Y'all stay
maybe
just
they
like
would
you're
like
doing,
it because they have so much work that it's almost becoming hard for them to sustain.
Yeah,
And
they just share the wealth a little bit.
Yeah, and like the funny thing, one of the dreams of our show is that we help educate workers to rise up within the local industry here,
And
because
work
like
professionally.
yeah, because the truth is like we've had several occasions where we'll have somehow we'll have two movies shooting at the same time. And we can crew up one, and then the other movie kind of gets, like, they end up having to hire from out of state. And think about that. You have to hire from out of state instead of hiring locally when we have capable people here. Like, we have these students that are going through all these different colleges. Every year that we pump out more students that are graduating looking for work, and they could be working on these movies. But instead, these productions hire from out of state because we don't have enough people. And
That's the key thing is teaching students to kind of transition from that college realm and working professionally, which I think that there are many programs that allow people now, like Neil is a person who's, he can be in school, right, and take classes and stuff, but he can also work.
Yeah.
Like he can work full time doing what he's doing, learning about in school. So it helps, I guess, these younger people to get that extra bit of knowledge and work on a set and then be able to work professionally. Like and Brian, I mean, you've had interns and people who've come kind of understudies, like following you around, learning what you do,
learning my lines,
learning your lines, learning your pole stance.
Yes, how does it sound speeds?
Yeah.
No, but what was I had a thought and I lost
it away because I said pole stance.
But pole stance, yes.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, like we have a running joke with. I graduated from OCCC. We have a running joke with OCCC that fewer students graduate because they start working,
which is great. We want.
It's a great problem to have.
Stay here. Yeah. They need to stay here, and we need more movies coming here, so they're all here.
Yeah. So that's the ultimate goal: is to help get those workers working.
Yep. Plus, I love Oklahoma, and I want people
really
to know
don't
about
move.
Oklahoma. It's a great place, and I want it to remain. I want more people to know about all the great stuff here.
Yep. It's pretty great.
What's it been worth for the state to have Gray Fredrickson here?
Man, that's a good question because he kind of revolutionized the industry here. Gray Fredrickson, for those of you who don't know, he was one of the producers on the Godfather series. He has an Oscar at his house.
This is a film knowledge that I'm learning while we're doing this. This is always what happens. We do a podcast and I learn while listening to Brian speak wisely about things.
It's been really fun having Kelly, come along on the wild ride of Okie show.
All of the other listeners. Okay, sorry, go ahead. But this is great. I didn't know any of this. Okay.
But Gray is an award-winning producer. He has an Oscar that I'm pretty sure is sitting in his bathroom because that's where the Oscar goes. I
mean, where do you look at it a lot of times a day if you go into the bathroom?
Yeah, it's true.
Everyone has to look at it. Ha!
But he came to OCCC several years ago and kind of revamped their film program. Before him, like all of our film programs in all the different schools, OU probably had the strongest one, and it was all just film theory.
Not necessarily actual technical working with film behind the camera or working with. And at OSU, they have really been pushing. When I was in school, even Lloyd Caldwell was giving a actual, you're going to film scenes and do this and work with the camera and learn the equipment. But it was kind of earlier on, early stages. So, it needs to grow, I think, so people can learn how to function.
Yeah, and Gray was the one who kind of changed that around from film theory. We're not just going to learn about what the shots mean and the psychological, meaning behind the hero moving from left to right instead of right to left and all this, that's how you make a film critic. That's not how you make a film technician that's going to work professionally in the industry. So he was the one who decided, we're going to create these technical programs so people can actually learn how to use a camera. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Or how to run sound and like how to properly write a script. And that's where Greg Malott came in. There was Gray Fredrickson, and then Greg Malott came in a little ways after him. And Greg Malott is, I'm not sure what awards he's won, but he's written several scripts. He's written like a Jackie Chan script and stuff. And he rocks that ponytail.
and that's interesting to me is, remember when I was in college before electricity at the University of Oklahoma, the journalism school down there, they had a film division, and there were a lot of writers. And those guys, I didn't take any of their classes. They were in the same building. They always said to me, there's always going to be actors and there's always going to be people shooting stuff, but there is a shortage, and there always will be, of good scripts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, yes. Yeah.
How would a person who is a writer who would like to get into that start that path?
That's a great question. And that's actually a conversation I ran into this realtor. I was working on a reality show, and this realtor was there. She was a young lady, and we got to talking about, she was like, so I've always wanted to work in film and stuff. And I was like, really? So what would you like to do? She's like, well, I've written a lot of things and I would love to write, but I just don't know how to get plugged into people that actually know what they're talking about, what they do. And that's probably the hardest thing around here. We have a lot of technicians, but we have a lot of writers, quote unquote, but there's very few platforms for them to kind of
present their scripts or
And so it's really about just networking. Like you just got to go to these networking events, go to the Planet Thunder Brainstorm, come out to our fundraiser, which is also a networking event, and get plugged in with people that really know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say that, just having, I don't think we've actually interviewed anyone about writing scripts.
Not yet,
but we have something in mind. So keep listening to Okie Show because we're going to get you. There are programs, just online that you can download for even for free. I think that there are programs that will just give you a format. This is what a script format looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that was a thing that I didn't know, like, how do I write it in proper format?
Mm-hmm.
I can write my thoughts and make it funny and write it like a play, but how do I write it for film? Like, how do I write it? And there are programs for that. So I think we were going to talk to some people about that specifically too.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to Renee Gutteridge, who's one of the screenwriters for the Skit Guys, but she also wrote the film Skid, which was Oklahoma, the best Oklahoma film from Dead Center about 2 years ago. And she's a pro writer. Like, she knows what she's doing. And she was one of the writers on our 48-hour team. So she's going to come out. I think we're going to do a live show for a couple different schools.
Oh, that'd be great.
We're going to have a
Q&A.
Yes. And but in the meantime, you can go to OCCC and you can learn underneath Greg Malott about script structure, because, good dialogue alone is not going to make a great story, but learning how to structure a beginning, middle, and end. And in the meantime, if you're wanting to write, just write. Yeah,
just write everything. Yeah. Write completely, like, your thoughts. We both carry notebooks around to write our thoughts when we get a funny joke, when we get a moment that's like, this is a great skit. We're going to write it down. So write everything down. That's a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. You can actually even go to OKCI. Again, improv's going to solve the world, guys. It's going to solve the world problems. Everything is great.
I can't wait for their check to clear for all the advertisement we've been doing for them.
They actually just when you're learning long form improv, it's all about the narrative. Like when you're doing a full narrative improvised show, we work on how to structure a story, learning about proper story structure and like, just where are the peaks, how do you do this? And that's going to help you just to get it
raising
in your head.
the stakes.
We completely we practice it and we go, do exercises just to get it in your head. So you're thinking in a narrative format, you're thinking in a story structure. And then from there you can go to OCCC and learn how to write it out and like apply it 100%, you know? So if you're just looking for a quick thing, that's a great spot to start too.
Yep. In the meantime, I encourage people to, before you try to write a feature film, because a feature film is going to be like 60 to 90 pages long. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
To be able to create a beginning, middle, and end, to do I'm going to write a script, so I'm going to write my first movie being 90 pages long. Start small. Start with 5 pages.
Yes.
Yeah. 5 to 10 pages long. Learn how to create a beginning, middle, and end within that time. That's one of the reasons why we started doing these sketches, is because we through the 48 Hour Project, I came to realize we have all these talented writers, and there are just so many great sketch ideas, so many funny ideas that don't have a platform. I see too many times people write great scripts, but then they never get made. And so that's one thing that we're trying to offer through our little writer's room. And if you want to get involved in being a writer, hit us up on Facebook or email me, Brian@prairiedogpictures.com, and we'll plug you in.
It's literally called Okie Show Writer's Room.
And the cool thing is that the scripts that don't get greenlit we make 3 short films per quarter of the year. And the ones that those are 3 scripts out of 20 scripts that get submitted by all the different writers. And so they're the best of the best. So there's so many other scripts that I wish we
really
could make.
amazing,
And they're really freaking good. I keep telling our writers, dude, even though we're not going to make these things, either save them for the next quarter and submit them for the next quarter, or submit them to SNL, submit them to freaking Second City.
You can just submit your scripts. So once you learn how to write them, you can submit them to SNL, and you can, even Comedy Central takes script submissions that's how a lot of these shows Broad City started, is that they were just doing an awesome improvised show at Second City and
Channel
they made
101
a whole series.
Yeah, there's tons of platforms to see your scripts getting made, but in the meantime, keep writing, but keep it small. Keep it 5 to 10 pages and just keep cranking those things out.
Mm-hmm. And then listen to the Okie Show episode about electric nostalgia, where we talked to the Burns brothers, and they could tell you how to write a full length feature script and make it amazing, because they just did it. Again, just keep writing. You can go check out an improv class to learn just basic narrative. Mm-hmm. You can even get the, there's tons of books on script writing, but it's easier when you see it. So come to a workshop. We, Brian and I, we used to do these Table Read Tuesdays, where we would take a script.
We still do from time to time.
We take this script, Scrubs was a great example. We got the original Scrubs script and just read through it.
Yeah.
And cast it and read through it. And then that's a great way to just see and we'd kind of identify and then we'd watch the episode. So we'd read the script and watch the episode and see how it differed. And you can see the improv going on. You can see how they tweaked the line. You can see what lines didn't work at all and they just took out. And it kind of helps you understand how to work a script. So, you can always join us for that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best thing that you can do is just always write and read scripts.
Yeah.
You can go to simplyscripts.com and you can download you can download the Jaws script, for goodness sake.
Yeah. You can get Frasier, the first episode of Frasier. You can do tons of script. Anything. You can just see how that they formulate the story and they make it brief.
And history, people learn their history from reading scripts.
Yes, absolutely.
You just brought up Jaws.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw recently that they found, and it was Paul Allen, Microsoft, one of the Microsoft founders, got nothing to do. So he's going around looking at the bottom of the ocean, right?
Oh, yeah.
Finds the USS Indianapolis.
That's right. That's right. Because he was just that's, I know, I love that James Cameron and other people just kind of I'm just going to dive around the ocean. The least explored area of the world.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the scene in Jaws where that Quint is telling the story just before the final attack, he starts talking to me. Dreyfuss looks at him and says, "What is that?" He goes, "USS Indianapolis." And he tells the story about being on the ship when it's torpedoed and how long they they bobbed in the water. Of course, the shark attacks. They found the Indianapolis
That's crazy.
3 weeks ago.
You know, a funny thing about that scene in the movie Jaws. So first of all, those actors, as they were doing that scene, they were all drunk, first of all. Which means there was involuntary improvisation happening throughout that entire scene. But Steven Spielberg went to shoot it again whenever they were sober, and it just wasn't the same. So the scene that you see in the movie Jaws, the final scene, is an improvised, drunken, rambling scene with those actors.
I love it.
I'll be done.
It
Freaking
shows
awesome.
the human condition. That's why we love art, guys. It's
Yeah.
the human condition. We get to take a little dive into the life of someone else, or a little peep into, we relate. I love it.
Isn't that cool? I mean, think about that. That means that the black eyes, like doll's eyes, that's an improvised line.
Improvised line.
Yeah.
There was a movie that Spielberg also made at that time. I was a college reporter in the late 70s when he had this movie out about aliens, the ones from outer space.
Ah.
And it was done from a...
I thought only aliens crossed the border.
Well, these did, but they were in the air when they did. Okay. So there was...
The ozone border.
Yes. We really need to plug that hole.
Yeah, we do.
ray guns or something.
Yeah.
But it was done from a U.S. Air Force study, which I don't know if is real or not. The whole thing was called Project Blue Book.
Huh.
And they studied UFOs. At the very end of the movie, as they've touched down and they're all out there near Devil's Tower, and the gentleman they called them Van Dykes, now their goatees, right, walks up and strokes his beard. This is a real small scene at the very end of Close Encounters. That is the guy who did the study. And I got to interview him as a kid in 79.
Whoa.
He did a presentation about the Air Force project. It's either Bluebird or Blue Book. I can't recall which. But anyway, that was J. Allen Hynek. He was the guy who wrote that study for the Air Force. And so Spielberg does a little cameo for him at the end. And I got to talk to him.
That's incredible.
And he told me the stories about what they found in that. Well, obviously, a lot of the things that were taken in the movie, from the music to what the aliens looked like, all that sort of stuff, were from these people who had seen them all over the world, allegedly. Yeah. Anyway, the point of it was this massive undertaking. So somebody had to sit down. I don't know who wrote the screenplay on that, but somebody sat down and turned that into a movie. And I think it was successful at the time.
Oh, yeah.
The fact is, everything is waiting to be written into a script. Yeah. And I can't imagine what you folks are doing, and you have this table reading. People want to know about that because, like I say, we hear people all the time say, "Man, I'd like to turn that into a movie or turn it into a script," because everybody's got a story to tell.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's the funny thing. I really think that we've got most of the bases covered, from like camera to sound to grip work to wardrobing and makeup and all that kind of stuff. But the writing portion of it is really still kind of an enigma around here, and that's one thing that I'm super, super passionate about, is getting people, first of all, get them writing. I'm a huge fan of Dan Harmon. He's the creator of Community and Rick and Morty. And he's a writer. He's a comedy writer. And
he writes, pilots for so many shows that don't make
everything.
it. He just writes and submits pilots. Like they'll ask him to do, like, hey, write this pilot. And they don't always make it, but he keeps writing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, and that's an important thing to know, that first of all, everything that you make is not gold.
Right. Right.
And that's why I tell people that you need to keep it small, keep it short, keep it concise, and just keep cranking stuff out, because not everything that you make is gold. Mm-hmm. But the one time that you do get lightning in a bottle, it's lightning in a bottle, but you've got to work to get there. Yeah.
And collaborating, I think, is also a huge thing that's what's so great about having this group of people that we work with to do these sketches, because one thing that, is written down can be made into something amazing just because 2 or 3 other people are like, or what if? Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden it becomes an incredible script. Well,
even whenever we were shooting the Sean Connery sketch, whenever you're working on a set with us, it's very, very interactive with the entire group. Like, everybody has their roles. So, the director is the director, but we're all open to suggestion and stuff. So, I can't remember there was one point where Sean is addressing it's like a fake commercial for his school of accents. Sean Connery teaching us, how to speak like a true Russian. And he turns to another camera that's off screen, but there is no camera there. So the camera literally is picked up and moved
to like
frame him back in correctly, and it reveals like the entire crew and everything behind. And that was all on the day that we decided to do that, and it's the funniest bit in the whole thing.
Collaboration is good. So if you have a script, ask some friends to take a look at it, and if just because they might not immediately love it doesn't mean it's bad either. Just get some second opinions too, and get some like suggestions, because it is kind of hard to work through writer's block or something when you don't really know where to go with the script. If you're having problems, collaborate.
Yep.
I think it's great. I mean, there are people who probably don't like to work together, but
and that actually kind of leads into like the number one bit of advice that I give to anybody in any position within film that wants to get involved. If you are not humble, you're not going to be working for very long. You need to get over yourself very quickly if you want to last for a while around here, and especially in Oklahoma. Like maybe that can happen in LA or New York, but not here.
I think that that's one of the greatest parts about Oklahoma film and music and all that we have going on here is that we're really willing to help other people. We really want to help out people who are trying. I mean,
and that's unique to here because you go out to the larger markets and nobody wants to help you because everyone's competing against everybody.
And not to mention it's not worth their time, right? They've got precious time. If you're not going to pay me or if you're not going to do this, for us, we want the word to be spread. And if you have a script, we want to be willing to help you out with that because we're nice. I don't know, it's just like we're nice people.
I mean, like for me, like if I read a script, that's a good idea is a good idea is a good idea. So like I just love seeing stuff get made, and
with our fundraiser, I will just say people have been really incredible in helping us out with this fundraiser because we weren't really sure where to start, and we just asked people, and they were so generous with their time or with their information or with actual funds or donating items for us to auction off and raffle off. I mean, people have been incredible. So if you're writing a script, ask some other people. Just ask some people. They'll probably help.
Yeah. Ask us for goodness sake. We're on Facebook. Just message us.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this medium. You're in communications, and we've talked about script writing and acting and filming and music. But you choose to decide, or you've chosen to communicate with the public via podcasting. Why?
Yes. Well, I come from radio. I used to be on this little mom and pop radio station, 91 FM, KOKF 91 FM.
Sounds good.
And man, I love the interaction of doing that show. And then whenever the radio station was bought out, and my show died and everybody else's show died, I missed that platform so much because, first of all, they gave me so much creative freedom. It was weird because I was only like 18. I was 18 and 19 during my time there. 17 through 19. And they let me have the Sunday afternoon show, and they let me do whatever I wanted. So I got to do like sketches and stuff on an actual terrestrial radio station. And so this has been kind of a fun medium to continue that and to let that flesh out even more, because now we do sketches and stuff on the show, and we do all the improv, and it's gotten much, much bigger. But the reason why I love the podcasting medium so much is because it's so accessible. Like I'm a professional sound guy, so I'm on all these different productions, and I own all my own gear. So it really wasn't that hard of a transition for me to just buy a bunch of handheld mics and just start interviewing people. Mm-hmm. And I come from a journalism background and all that kind of stuff. Before I got involved in film, I was doing journalism, and I just love talking to people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that one of the benefits to doing a podcast, at least for me, compared to when I've been on film doing things, like we've actually tried to do some, here's how if you want to learn how to do this stuff, like you had me do a couple spots.
Yeah.
Patrick had me do a couple actual videos of, we're going to teach you some methods of filming or methods of doing certain stuff like business for film. And I was very stiff and awkward, and that's kind of how I am in real life. But when we're podcasting, when we're just able to sit down and have a discussion with people and joke and laugh and stop if we need to and kind of restart and reboot if we go on tangents, because we go on really bad tangents.
Yeah, we rabbit trail all the time.
It causes the conversation to flow really easily. And for the listeners, I think, instead of just watching this kind of 3 or 4 minute YouTube video of this is what you need to do, I don't know, it allows people to get to know us and know that they can approach us, or get to know the person that they're wanting to hear about and know that they could approach that person and ask questions.
Yeah.
It just feels more casual and more relatable to a broad audience.
Well, it's so much more engaging, I feel like, because like when you're watching a video, you have to sit and you got to watch it. But when you're listening to a podcast, like I start my day listening to my news podcast and I'm like brushing my teeth and I'll go for a jog or something like that. And the whole time you're able to listen to these podcasts.
While I'm cleaning my house, I can pause and stop and start. And it just, we are filming our podcast live now and putting it on Facebook Live. But that's more so just to get a little glimpse of like if anyone's able to watch for 5 minutes. Usually people can't sit and watch on Facebook Live for an hour while we talk to people and play Dungeons and Dragons. like it's not that interesting. We
do play Dungeons and Dragons.
We do that. So I think podcasting is a really great format for learning in a casual kind of informative way. I don't know.
And like even for like from a business standpoint, it's so much more affordable to do podcasting than it is to like have a radio show because you got to be with a radio station and have a giant antenna and all this kind of stuff. With podcasting, all you need is a recording interface, some XLR cables, and some microphones.
Yeah, limited technology. You don't really need cameras and getting different shots. Like it doesn't have to be super edited. You don't have to
The complicated part is really just like the marketing and all that kind of stuff. As far as the technology, it's so much easier and more affordable to do podcasting.
I think we've seen a big boom in podcasts too. I will throw that out there.
Nuts. When we started this thing, it started in 2015, I think, November 2015, and now it's almost September 2017. Yeah. Within that time, there's been like dozens of new podcasts that have come about.
Yeah. And I have tons of people even just like at my church or like, mom groups that I'm in, they're like, I need a new podcast. What are you into?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people doing a lot of different things are listening to podcasts. So I think it's kind of a good time right now for us. I think that left out.
No, we're living in this like weird podcast boom and it's kind of cool. I felt like we came in like the right time.
Right.
Yeah,
like we're
20-year-old
established
technology.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you've moved over to the mostly harmless umbrella.
Yes.
Yeah. And now those guys just needed some lessons on getting things in on time.
Oh, so do we.
Yeah.
That's why we've been spending like the last 3 months trying to like backlog all these new interviews and stuff. Because like
when Brian's working, when he's working, he's on set 12, 15, 20 hours. Out of town, on location, can't really be accessible. So we have to kind of work the podcast interviews around that.
That was more of a nod to the 48.
Oh, yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Man, those poor guys.
I know. No, that was hilarious.
Next year.
I know. But, so we've been trying to backlog all of these things now to that way when you do hit your busy work season, because there is kind of like a busy work season for what you do and then an off season.
It goes from like crazy busy, like just nuts to just like it's like being launched into nothingness of like, I'm floating through the vacuum of space, like where's the work? My money is slowly leaving me.
But that's why I'm super excited for the relaunch, because we have some really awesome stuff to like get out there. So I think and we have it, so we don't have to stress about it.
All right, so there's a big party,
big shindig. It's gonna be
to kick it all off.
It's going to be October 5th. The show actually launches, like the podcast show actually launches the day after. So the first episode will be going up 6 a.m. that Friday. The party is going to be Thursday, October 5th. We're going to be screening 2 award-winning short films that the Okie show produced. And we're going to be talking about the sketch show on YouTube. We're going to talk a little bit about another show that we're going to be launching, another YouTube show that we're going to be launching in a couple months called Cinema 405. And then we're going to be integrating a whole lot of improv comedy, a little bit of stand-up, and we're going to have a little improv jam.
Highlight some of the local people before they go on their next runs. Like, OKCI will start their winter run or fall run. And so we want to like push that to people who might not have seen it either, like some stand-up, some improv. Like, it's out there. Let's come check it out. Yeah.
The Oklahoma comedy scene exists. Just like the film industry, it exists.
Yes.
So we're trying to get people to realize that it exists. Yeah. But the cool thing beyond all that, beyond the short films and beyond the improv, which we're going to have an improv jam at the end of everything. So if you want to jump up on stage, you can join us all. But we're also going to be giving out raffle prizes. We're going to have, I believe we're going to have 3 raffle baskets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting like a couple different types of baskets, but locally donated things that kind of represent local stuff in Oklahoma, whether it be, T-shirts or tickets to a performance or just food and, whatnot.
I know OKCI is Can I say that?
Yeah, I think. I got a yes. So
Okay.
sorry about it later if it's not true. I'm a bad person.
So OKCI, Oklahoma City Improv, is going to be adding some tickets to their
Next run.
The next run is going to be part of that. Working with Actor Factory to possibly get some classes that you can take for freezies. We're trying to put together a full acting package. So we've got Tony Marlowe from Marlowe House Makeup is offering a makeup makeover or a Halloween special effects makeup.
Yeah, because it is October.
Thing.
Perfect.
No.
Oh, she's incredible.
She's amazing.
Oh.
She's that girl's worked on everything, and you should listen to her episode.
Yeah,
on
you
I
should.
don't know what it is. I think it's like episode 14. But so we're gonna have that. We're looking to get a headshot photographer, to offer some headshots and stuff like that. So there's gonna be a lot of really, really cool, fun stuff.
And not to mention, you'll get to network, right? There's going to be a lot of people there that are working and doing this full time. And if you want to ask questions, this is the place. This is the time. Like, go mingle, have some drinks, and just chat with people that you are interested in that you could have heard on our podcast or not yet. And they are willing to tell you about what they do and how they do it.
Yep. And ultimately, Kelly and I would love to get to meet all of you guys, like everybody that listens to the show. Like, we want to meet you, we want to know who you are, and we want to learn how we can help you.
And I want to give you an awkward situation. I just want to be able to make you feel uncomfortable for like 5 minutes because I'm very good at that.
Yep. And I will shake your hand, but like
Loosely.
to where my hand's not all the way in your hand, you're really just shaking my
shaking the
fingers.
tips of the
and we're going to
fingers.
make that happen for like 45 seconds.
We're really doing a really good job pushing and promoting
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
Salutations.
Well, I feel awkward for the first 10 minutes of the 10 o'clock news every night. So this will be a more in-person experience.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. So in the catalog will be over at Mostly Harmless once the relaunch.
Yep.
How many episodes have you done to now?
We have 5 episodes recorded. We're going to be...
And a few more lined up to record in the next couple weeks.
We've got some live shows because we have a live aspect to the show. Every once in a while we'll do a live show. And with the new studio space with Mostly Harmless Media, we have a full audience space
We
now.
have a stage, we have a bar,
stage.
we have an audience space.
So there's no reason to not do these live shows. And one of those guests for the live show, that one's going to be specifically for all the students at Metro Tech and with Ben Halavity School that I can never for the life of me remember the name of his school.
But you can still come. Anyone can come.
EOC.
What is it?
Eastern Oklahoma County
Eastern Oklahoma
right.
County.
Tech.
EOC Tech. And we're hopefully going
E2 is an
bring
orange
those
person,
students
by the
out.
way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Just obnoxious to the max on that OSU thing. A
Go
dear
Pokes.
friend and a
There we
real
go.
true pro.
Yeah.
He really is.
But we have 3 live shows that we're planning. One is with Renee Gardage from the Skid Guys and from Skid. She's a writer. We have Damon Carney from the movie Logan, starring Hugh Jackman.
The guy who lost his arm, or like gets his arm cut off or like an appendage.
Oh, yeah.
That one guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because it happened like every guy, but no, seriously.
The one guy.
This one guy.
Yeah. No, it's funny because Damon was in the first clip from Logan that was released was with like these like, handful of rednecks that come against Hugh Jackman and everything. And I'm watching it. I'm like, what the is that Damon? That's happened like 4 times. I'll be watching a movie and I'll be like, holy crap. Another person on
We're trying to
screen.
get him up from Texas, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
he's from Dallas and he's going to be coming up and he'll be doing a live show with us. And then the last one is a YouTube personality. She is a comedian and she is a mom. And so that's kind of like that's her shtick.
Yeah.
You guys will get along great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
her YouTube channel name is Sugalippo. And she's freaking hysterical. And like she's done comedy with like TJ Miller and stuff like that. And so she's going to come and do a live show with us too.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's going to be really fun.
Well, it's great to see you both. Congratulations
Good to
on
be here.
making it over to Mostly Harmless. It's going
Thank
to be a
you.
great
It's
group.
so cool.
It's like running in a pack at Daytona,
Yeah.
It is.
right? Because if you just drop out, like these single shows, you drop out, you go all the way to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what happens. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You're listening to the new media, the Mitchell Talks Network. Learn more at mitchelltalks.com and follow me, Scott Mitchell, on Twitter @MitchellTalks.